Before the first pharaoh breathed life into the Nile, the stars were the only judges of the desert. The silence of the Giza Plateau was not broken by man, but by a fire that fell from the heavens. A flaming Kryptonian pod, screaming through the clouds, slammed into the great Sphinx. Stone that had survived 1,000 sandstorms shattered like glass in a colossal explosion of fire and sand. From the burning wreckage, a tiny, glowing hand reached out, effortlessly crushing a solid bronze spear of a terrified guard. The high priest of Ra knelt before the smoking crater. He lifted the child they would name Khepri. Wrapped in red silk, pulsing with alien symbols, the baby looked toward the sun, and his skin began to shimmer like polished gold. The god of the Nile had arrived, and the world would never be the same. By age 10, Khepri was no longer a secret. He was a force of nature. Surrounded by 100 royal guards with spears leveled at his heart, the boy did not fight. He simply exhaled a single, cold breath. Instantly, the entire legion was frozen into solid blocks of ice amidst the desert heat. In the royal training grounds, fierce lions were unleashed upon him, but their teeth shattered against his skin like porcelain. Khepri did not strike back. He petted the beasts, turning predators into kittens. He was a being of pure peace, yet possessed the strength of the earth itself. When the great drought turned the Nile into a scar of cracked mud, adult Khepri hovered over the riverbed and punched the ground with divine force. An underground spring exploded upward, refilling the river in seconds as thousands fell to their knees. He became the architect of the impossible, flying vertically into the blue sky. He carried 50-ton golden capstones with a single finger, placing them perfectly atop the Great Pyramids. As his hand touched the stone, a shockwave of solar energy shot out, making the entire pyramid glow like a lighthouse for eternity. Beneath the Sphinx, his X-ray vision revealed hidden chambers and star maps, pointing toward a distant red sun. Egypt was now his home, but every sun has a shadow. In Alexandria, a brilliant priest named Lex-Thoth discovered a glowing green meteorite, Kryptonite. The green light reflected in his malicious eyes as he realized human genius could bring a god to his knees. Khepri suddenly stumbled, his golden skin turning a sickly gray. Lex-Thoth approached with a hidden green stone dagger and activated a massive bronze golem powered by the poison stone. Khepri fought the machine, his strength fading, but he melted its joints with a final, desperate burst of heat vision. The era of peace was shattered as a portal of black sand opened in the desert. Set General, the Warlord Zod, emerged in spiked black armor. He did not come as a king, but as a conqueror. The two titans collided over the Nile, their punches creating shockwaves that shattered every window in the city. Lex-Thoth used the chaos to steal Khepri's pod, prying open the engine to reveal a pulsing, advanced alien power core. Set General carved a massive Z into the mountains, declaring himself the true god to the terrified citizens. Wounded and bleeding blue blood, Khepri was hidden by the priestess Isis. She used ancient solar mirrors to reflect pure sunlight onto his wounds. His cells began to recharge. Khepri stood tall once more, donning new armor made of star metal. He prepared to face the united front of Lex-Thoth and the Warlord. The War of the Gods turned the sky over Memphis into a swirling vortex of golden fire and black sand. Khepri and Set General locked in a mid-air struggle, their hands gripping each other's shoulders as they spun like a divine tornado. They crashed through a massive stone obelisk, sending a cloud of granite dust across the city. Below them, Lex-Thoth activated the stolen power core. A pillar of blinding green light shot into the heavens from the Great Library, poisoning the very air Khepri breathed. The man of gold felt his heart skip a beat, the radiation burning through his golden veins. But he refused to fall while his people were in peril. Across the desert, thousands of Egyptian soldiers faced a nightmare. Set General's shadow army, monsters forged from cursed black sand, sliced through bronze shields like they were parchment. The ground shook as Set General landed, his eyes igniting with a red heat vision that caused the Nile River to boil instantly. Massive clouds of steam rose into the sky, trapping the Royal Navy in a bubbling cauldron. In this moment of absolute despair, Khepri looked toward the horizon. He did not seek cover. Instead, he flew directly into the center of the sun, absorbing massive amounts of solar radiation until his entire form became a silhouette of pure, blinding golden light. Khepri descended like a falling star, covered in solar fire. He slammed into the earth near Lex-Thoth's machinery, the resulting shockwave knocking back the shadow armor and shattering the sunbeam weapon into a million glass shards. But Set General was waiting. He grabbed Khepri from behind and slammed him into the side of the Great Pyramid, carving a massive crater in the ancient stones. The tremors were felt as far as the Red Sea. As Khepri lay in the rubble, the priestess Isis held a glowing Kryptonian crystal to the sky. A hologram of Jor-El and Lara appeared, their voices echoing in a forgotten tongue, reminding Khepri of his purpose. Inspired by the echoes of his past, Khepri released a solar flare for the first time. A massive wave of golden energy erupted from his body, disintegrating the black sand monsters and pushing Set General back across the dunes. But Lex-Thoth was not finished. He aligned his ancient mirrors to trigger a total solar eclipse. The sun disappeared, and the world was plunged into a cold, artificial night. Khepri's glow began to flicker and die. Set General, whose black armor was powered by the dark side of the moon, delivered a brutal blow that sent Khepri crashing into a temple of Anubis. As the eclipse hit its peak, Khepri lay bleeding in the dust, his white cape torn and useless. He watched as Set General prepared to enslave the survivors. But Isis ran to him, placing the Kryptonian crystal against his assembly. The stone began to pulse, feeding him the stored history and solar energy of Krypton's own golden age. Lex-Thoth stepped forward, wearing a prototype power suit made from the metal of Khepri's own pod. He raised a Kryptonite-tipped spear, preparing to strike the final blow. But the moon began to move. A single, thin ray of sunlight pierced the darkness, hitting Khepri's chest. The man of gold stood up, and the desert began to tremble. Phase 3. The voiceover script, batch 3 of 3. Voiceover directives. Voice, Adam 11 Labs. Tone, majestic, triumphant, eternal. Pacing, gradual crescendo, leading to a peaceful, fading conclusion. Style, godlike authority followed by a legendary, whispered finish. Script, the green radiation of the Kryptonite spear was instantly vaporized as pure solar heat flooded Khepri's body. He rose slowly, his feet leaving the ground, his white cape catching fire and transforming into a mantle of golden solar flares. With a thunderous clap of his hands, Khepri released a shockwave so powerful it shattered Lex-Thoth's robotic armor into 1,000 pieces, leaving the brilliant priest trembling in the dust. Set General tried to fly toward the horizon, but Khepri appeared before him in a blur of golden light, grabbing him by the throat with a hand that glowed with the heat of 1,000 suns. Khepri did not choose execution. Instead, he used his heat vision to tear a permanent rift in the sky, an ancient phantom zone vortex, and hurled the Warlord into the swirling black void. Peace returned to the Nile. Lex-Thoth was stripped of his titles and forced to live as a lowly scribe, his genius now his only prison. Khepri flew over the delta, his presence alone causing crops to grow instantly and flowers to bloom in the sand. A massive new monument was built, a statue of the sun god holding the earth. He realized he was no longer a refugee of a dead world. He was the king of a new one. Centuries bled into millennia. The pyramids were now covered in glowing Kryptonian circuits, and Egypt had become a futuristic utopia. Khepri, now wearing a suit of star metal, watched from his lunar throne as a skull-shaped ship approached the galaxy. Brainiac, the collector of worlds. Khepri fought through swarms of robotic scarabs, crashed the skull ship into the Sahara, and recovered the shrunken city of Kandor. He locked the city in a secret vault beneath his pyramid, choosing to remain the world's singular protector. He had outlived the mountains, the oceans, and the stars he once worshipped. As the eons passed and the sun began to die, turning a sickly red, Khepri made his final sacrifice. He did not let the light go out. He flew directly into the solar core, holding the collapsing star together with his bare hands. He merged his spirit with the sun, turning it from a dying red back to a brilliant, healthy gold. Millions of years later, a young boy in a lush, green desert finds a golden medal with a familiar S in the sand. He looks up at the warm sun and smiles, feeling a strange connection to the light. The Sphinx opens its glowing blue eyes once more, welcoming a new pod from the stars. The cycle begins anew. The sun never sets on a legend.